thinking got me thinking, how can I come up and get myself a ranking?
All right, as you can see here, I'm kind of slowly working on everything. I do have the vacuum in here. You can see where I vacuumed on this side up to that point, just kind of try to clean up as I go. But one of the first things you'll see here is I put the paint deal down to try to catch any fluid. And for what it's worth, I started here underneath the pump and that line that goes into the actuator. Okay. Then what I did is I started taking off all those little, you can kind of see right there where I've taken those off. And in one of the inserted videos that I took on my phone, I kind of showed you guys where I took those off across there. And then again, it just goes over to that cylinder. Okay? That's where I'm working at right now. Now, I'll say this a few times, I've never done this before, right? But what I did is I laid out the lines, and when you look at the lines, you basically have 4 long lines, and then you've got the small one there that you see towards the right. Okay? Lay those out, and you can see where I'm working here. I took out, there's a little cotter pin that, right now I kind of pushed this over here, but the cotter pin goes right here. I know it's hard to see, there's a little hole. And you could either, I mean, what I did before I went and got I forgot my flathead in my shop, I just pushed, because the end of it was pushed through from the bottom up. So I just literally took this and pushed on the cotter pin, and it popped right out. I need to get my magnet because it actually shot back in there, which I'm gonna probably put new ones anyways. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But you could take a screwdriver and you could pop that out, and then there's this one washer on here, okay? I pulled that washer off just like this with a flathead, and then this guy, you can push this through and it comes right to, you see right, sorry about that, right in there. You can kind of see where it comes off. So what I'm gonna do is, I mean, clearly that's the longest run of the line. It comes all the way over here. And then there's the 2, right? There's the one on the bottom, right here. And then this one here goes right here, okay? So I already looked. Again, I do things pretty basic. So when I'm looking at this, I say, okay, I've got the one line there, and then, I don't know, what is it, a foot or so? And then you've got a T. Okay, so I go over here and I look at these lines, and the bottom one is the only one that's the same. You know, it starts right here, about a foot. You've got the T; those don't have that, so you know that's the main one I'm working on now. And then you've got this guy that runs out of here, right? Comes out of here, comes down, and it's ran in conjunction with this other one, right? You know, because one comes up to here, the other is the lower fitting. So what I'm gonna do here in just a minute is take a look and see, okay, well, which one is that out of these other? And it's probably gonna be this one, right? Because you got the long run, then you've got the middle T fitting, right? That goes at the bottom of that one cylinder, and then it goes over to the other one. And then these last 2, well, 3, got the short one, and you've got these 2. These 2 are exactly the same. And then you've got this short one, right? So it's like, okay, well, where do those go? Well, if you guys know, you have, if you know your car a little bit, you know you've got the 2 lines that run, let me move my iPhone. You've got the 2 lines that run up through here. So you got 1, 2, runs right up here. I'll vacuum all that out while I'm doing it. again, you can see there's nastiness all through this car, the grease and just, I guess, a little bit of fluid here and there, whatever. But those run right up to, and I'm gonna run them exactly the same. And you see there, hopefully, bam, right there on that cylinder. Then runs over there, boom, bam, on that cylinder. We'll go over to that. So you see a little bit better there on that side. And then you've got the line ran right to there. And if I remember correctly, yeah, you've got 2 lines, right? So, and again, some of you guys, you've done this a lot more than I have. So then that's where you end up with the 2, because you have the one that runs to the back of each of these guys. One there, and I know you can't see the one in the back. Okay, quick video insert here on the iPhone XS. The GoPro, I need to charge and just had an error on it, so little natural technology hiccups. But what I did here, to get this out was super simple. You know, you pull the pin, you pull this guy through right here. I just sat that back on there for now, but that just came out the one side, right? And then what it allows you to do is kind of twist this some. Is, again, I've never done this before, so I'm learning as I go. I'm going to twist that, and this 7/16 wrench, it allows me to get right on this guy, okay? When I put it back together, I'm probably going to set it just like this, right, where this is facing up. It's very clear here. It says strip threads, voids warranty, tightened by hand, then use wrench on last quarter turn only. So what I'll end up doing is I'll sit that new one right here once I get the new lines ran there, right? And I'll tighten this with my hand, and then the last quarter turn, just as it states, tighten that down. And more than likely, you know, you got to reuse these guys here. Now you can see it's brittle plastic. I'm sure some of these parts, I mean, some are maybe reproduced, but I would be ultra careful, because I think Tony has told me before that these guys, they're hard to find. I'm sure there could be someone 3D printing them, but I would tell anyone, I would caution anyone, even though it has a little crack there, I see the little black piece, I'll probably put it back in there just to, if I have to, I'll clean it up and glue it. But definitely be careful with all this stuff, because some of it isn't, you know, you can't just call a place and get it. Now, sometimes you can call Lincoln Land or Old Lincoln Parts, but oftentimes you can't. All right, y'all. And then you can see the other one, it fell right back there. That goes in the other side. It's the same as that. Hey, I'm back. And this is the 3rd day I think I've worked on it. The first day, a lot of the video, you could kind of tell that was when I first got started. The second day, I ended up really not doing a lot. I mean, I only spent about an hour on it, which I kind of was really going pretty slow. But what I ended up doing is, you can see the pump has changed. The line that goes to the bottom and the top of the pump has been changed. And I'll kind of go over here, this little gimbal I'm using. Basically what you're going to see there is the line that goes here. I have that just hand threaded, because the pump comes already filled with fluid. So when you take this guy off, which I did first, I got that threaded in there by hand, and then I eventually tightened it with, I think it's a 1/2, right? And then I had this before there's only 2 on these cars. You'll see they make the pump with 4, but on the Lincolns, I don't know if it's every year, you really only do this top one bolt to hold it, the nut I should say. But what I did was I put this one on first. Then once that was on, I took the plug out and then tightened this. Then I flipped, before it was screwed, I flipped this up and I put this one in and then I tightened it. And then I put this, I kind of put this here. What I would suggest is, like with this guy here, this actuator, I think I keep calling it actuator, solenoid. This nut is a little tough to get to, and these nuts, I don't know what kind of metal it's made out of, but they're slightly soft in terms of material, so when you go to tighten it, you have to use an open-ended wrench to get it on there. And because you're not at a great angle with a good throw on the wrench, it kind of wants to kind of not strip the threads, but you kind of get an idea. But if you look at it now, you can see right now it kind of moves. I'm going to tighten that down a tad more. I don't think it's cross-threaded. Needs a couple more turns. But once you change that one, what I ended up doing is the hose, you can kind of see here, I mentioned how they cut them a little bit longer. This one to me is way longer than it needs to be, but again, I don't know if they kind of set those up for different years, but you can see that bend in it. That's about the only thing you could do is you basically kind of have that up here. I don't want to kink it coming out. Then it comes into here, and then I hand tightened it here. And the reason being was, once the fluid, the fluid just kind of wants to seep out of here. I mean, it's no big deal. When this was laying down, so that line, before, when I was kind of getting this was laying down, then you had a little bit of fluid that was seeping out. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hand tighten it here. And at this point, what I have left is, there's no sense in disconnecting here, 1 and 2, because these two guys are getting replaced, and those lines, they go up underneath here, they snake up there, and then there's obviously the cylinder, then it goes across to that side. But I looked at this a moment ago and I kind of put it back so you can kind of see. Obviously this is the original carpet in this car, and that's what you're left with under there. What I'm going to do is take out, with the Phillips head screwdriver, I'm going to take these two out. I'm going to kind of be as careful as I can. I don't know that I'll reuse this, but whether I'm going to make a template of it or, I tell everybody, if you're taking something apart, just be careful with it, because you might want to reuse it. You don't know. But once I take these two out, 1, 2, I'll move this to the side, and you can see where the lines go here, and you can kind of see where they're poking out there, and they snake up right there, and it gets a little bit tight in there with some of the wiring, the switch that goes up into here. But overall, I'm going to tackle today literally just getting these guys out of here, and you can kind of see they're kind of loosely in there, and putting the new cylinders in and moving ahead. So again, this is going to be a multi part video, and the reason being is I can only do 20-minute video uploads. So I can get to 19, almost 20 minutes, and that can be part 1, and then I can go and do part 2. You have to have so many subscribers before you can get over 20-minute videos, I believe. So that's what I've got going on, and we'll see how it goes. I'll try to take some video along the way when my hands aren't too dirty picking up this GoPro. All right, y'all. Hope you're enjoying this. Jason, the Lincoln Addict here. Peace. Okay, so what I did was I took out this panel, okay, and that goes right here, which you saw in the video. It's literally those two screws. 1, 2. Okay. They're pretty nasty. This is what. And at that point, you can see that everything is pretty clean in here, in terms of just untouched. What I always preach is I'm going to go back in here and vacuum all this. You know, you can see up underneath here. I'm a big advocate for cleaning things up. Those lines, obviously, which they kind of go back in there, where the cylinders, if you've ever done this, we had disconnected this some time ago, right here, with the pins, these guys. So I'll kind of show that going back together. Simple. But what I wanted to show you guys, we were working on this car sometime last year, I forget when, and we were over at Blair's Lair in in Clearwater, and I mentioned the lines blew out. Well, doing some further investigation, I'm going to find out exactly what happened here shortly. But that day when we were at his place, let me show you here, down here on the floor, it could have been the cylinder, it could be this, maybe I'm guessing the seal right here on the cylinder, right up underneath here, probably blew out, and the fluid starts leaking down. And that day I had noticed it because I think I want to say I had the seat out when I went over there, and this right here was all puddled up. And you can see they have, I mean, that's the way it looks when it's dry. Whatever that material is they used for sound deadening, you know, back in the day, that's about how thick it is. But that thing got soaked. I'll probably put some kitty litter or some sort of oil absorbent down here. I might have to buy more. But you can kind of see this is obviously trash. But I saw a post a long time ago in the Lincoln forum, and it didn't dawn on me that day. I saw like a little puddle of fluid, and basically you can kind of see right there probably where it blew out, and it just leaked down. Taking out the rear seat is super simple. When the seat is in right here, you just pull up from the seat on this side and then go over on that side and pull up. You kind of finesse it out here. So you kind of lift it up, pull it out. I always throw it up here. Kind of see I have a rip right there on the seat, and I've always known that. But and then the back, a lot of times the back portion up here, if it's never been out, you'll see, let me lock this in, there's 1, 2, see the hole? And then there's probably 2 more over there. You basically have to take out those screws, and that's really what holds it in there. And what you do is you slowly, it helps if you have someone helping on that side, but you slowly have to kind of pull the bottom. The main thing you want to avoid is those little guys right there, the interior trim. It could rip the seat. So you want to be careful. What I did was I kind of finessed it out this way a little bit, and then I went on that side and kind of did the same. And then once you drop it below that, you're good to go. I flip it upside down and it ends up right there.
Got me thinking, got me thinking.